Welcome to this explainer, where we're diving into the surprising truth behind an animal you probably thought you had all figured out. I mean, what if I told you that those fluffy creatures just grazing quietly out in a field can actually recognize your face for years? Or that they communicate complex emotions without making a single sound, and even self-medicate when they're sick? Most people think sheep are just simple followers, but the reality is far stranger and honestly way more fascinating. Behind those calm eyes is a creature packed with survival abilities, social intelligence, and ancient instincts that scientists are really just starting to fully understand. Okay, let's just get right into it. Most of us look at sheep and think, well, they're just fluffy simpletons, right? Just wandering around blindly trailing after the guy in front of them without a second thought. But the science paints a totally different picture. They are actually ancient survival experts. They possess this deep intelligence that's specifically designed for staying alive, coordinating socially, and being incredibly aware of their environment. After all, a sheep doesn't need to know how to solve a math problem. It needs to know how to avoid predators and survive in some seriously harsh, changing conditions. So, prepare to have your preconceived notions totally shattered here. What if they can remember you? What if they can literally talk silently to each other? What if they can heal themselves? We are going to unpack exactly how these supposedly simple farm animals recognize individual faces, how they communicate across massive groups in the blink of an eye, and how they manage their own biological health. Honestly, by the end of this explainer, you are probably never going to look at a sheep the same way again. Section 1. Smarter than you think. The surprising memory and emotional intelligence of sheep. Let's kick things off by dismantling the biggest myth out there, their brain power. 50. That is the sheer number of individual sheep faces that one single sheep can memorize. It's like a giant biological Rolodex. Researchers found out that they aren't just remembering, a couple of their best buddies. They can actively distinguish and remember at least 50 distinct individuals within their flock. And they don't just hold on to that for a few days. They keep that visual memory locked in for more than 2 whole years. And get this, their advanced visual memory doesn't just stop at their own species. They can also recognize human faces from photographs, even after being separated for a really long time. In one absolutely wild experiment, scientists actually trained sheep to identify celebrities from pictures. No joke, and they performed almost as well as humans on certain recognition tasks. I mean, that requires a level of advanced visual processing that almost nobody expects from a typical farm animal.
But it's not just rote memory, there's real emotional depth here too. Sheep can actually detect human emotional expressions. They genuinely react differently to an angry human face compared to a calm one. But it goes even deeper into something scientists call emotional contagion. They are reading our body language so intently that if a shepherd is super stressed out, that one person can actually trigger a wave of anxiety across the entire flock. It spreads like wildfire. That's exactly why experienced handlers make a point to stay completely calm, because those animals are constantly reading their emotional signals and syncing right up with them.
Section 2. The flocking survival superpower. A living biological network. So how does individual smarts turn into a collective superpower? Well, to us, flocking just looks like pure chaos, right? Just a big wave of animals running in the same direction. But it's actually a highly coordinated evolutionary instinct. It is specifically designed to protect the group through rapid, collective decision-making. We're talking about a survival system perfected over millions of years. Because predators almost always target isolated individuals, the wild ancestors of domestic sheep evolved this instinct where their absolute safety strictly depends on staying tightly locked in with the group. And they maintain this connection incredibly well. The flock is literally a silent biological network. While yes, sheep do bleat, the vast majority of their communication is totally silent. They broadcast movement decisions through these unbelievably subtle signals, just a tiny change in head direction, a slight shift in posture, or a minor tweak in walking speed. And they aren't all just mindlessly doing the same thing. Inside that flock, there are very specific roles. Some naturally step up as leaders, others are followers, and some act as watchers who stay on super high alert while everybody else eats. This whole system allows an entire flock to pivot and change direction in seconds without making a single peep. So the big takeaway here is that they absolutely are not blindly following. If one sheep panics because it thinks it spotted a threat, the rest of the flock doesn't just blindly sprint away in terror. Instead, they instantly analyze if the threat is actually real before reacting. Then, and only then, the flock executes a rapid, collective decision as one single unit. That split-second collective calculation is the exact reason sheep have managed to survive for thousands of years in incredibly harsh, predator-filled environments. And this crazy intelligence extends right out into their physical environment, too. You might think a sheep would easily get lost, but they have a ridiculous spatial memory. Flocks of mountain sheep memorize these incredibly complex migration routes across deadly cliffs and valleys, and they hold on to that map in their heads for years. They remember exactly where seasonal water sources are hidden across massive bone-dry landscapes. Actually, in lab studies, sheep have successfully learned how to navigate complex mazes, and they even get faster the more they do it.
Section 3. How sheep see the world. Built for survival.
Now, to really get why they act the way they do, we kind of need to look at the world literally through their eyes, which are spectacularly built for staying alive. Have you ever noticed that sheep have those weird rectangular pupils? Well, thanks to that unique shape, sheep have a massive 300-degree field of vision. That leaves just a tiny 60-degree blind spot right directly behind them. This evolutionary adaptation is a total game changer. It means they can constantly scan for predators from almost every single angle without even bothering to turn their heads. But, nature always demands a trade-off. That incredible 300-degree panoramic vision, it comes at the cost of weaker depth perception right in front of their noses. Because of how their eyes process depth straight ahead, what looks like just a harmless little shadow to us might look like a sheer drop-off or a hidden danger to them. And that is exactly why you might see a sheep suddenly hesitate or leap awkwardly over a totally flat shadow on the ground. To us, it looks kind of silly, but to a sheep, it's a completely logical, necessary precaution for survival. Section 4. The Secret Power of Wool, Nature's Advanced Material. Let's shift gears for a second and talk about what they produce, because wool is so biologically advanced, it literally changed our world. Usually when we talk about advanced materials, we're thinking about science labs and modern tech, right? But just look at the natural properties of wool. A single fiber can bend thousands of times without snapping, it naturally regulates body temperature, it actively absorbs moisture, and incredibly, it resists fire way better than a lot of modern synthetic materials. It even blocks harsh UV radiation. Honestly, even with all our modern technology, we still struggle to fully replicate the dynamic, natural properties of a sheep's coat. But their biological awareness isn't just about what grows on their skin, it's about what goes inside their bodies too. This blew my mind. Researchers have watched 6 sheep actually practice a basic form of self-medication. They deliberately go out and hunt down specific medicinal plants to cure whatever is ailing them. They'll eat certain plants to kill off parasites and totally different ones to fix digestive issues, and they actually learn from experience which plants make them feel better. It is just a stunning overlap of instinct, memory, and proactive health management. Section 5. Shapers of Human Civilization, the silent architects of trade and wealth. Finally, let's zoom out and look at the big picture. How these resilient, surprisingly smart animals directly shaped human history. It's a really unusual, highly dependent relationship. The wild ancestors of sheep didn't actually need shearing. They just naturally shed their coats in the wild. But thousands of years ago, early humans selectively bred them to grow wool continuously. By the Middle Ages, this exploded into massive wool trade routes that literally built entire European empires. Whole kingdoms got extraordinarily wealthy off the backs of sheep, and historians point to wool as a primary driving force behind the rise of major trading powers. Which leads us right to today, where millions of people worldwide still heavily rely on a global sheep-based economy, and it really all boils down to this one powerful idea. Sheep quietly helped humans build civilization. Because it wasn't just about the wealth they generated. It was about the cooperation they absolutely demanded from us. Think about it. Managing large-scale shepherding required highly complex coordination, protection systems, seasonal planning, and huge trade networks. To successfully herd these highly intelligent flocking animals, early humans were literally forced to talk to each other, cooperate, organize, and ultimately build complex societies around them. So, the next time you're driving past a field and see a sheep just standing there quietly, remember what's really going on inside that head. Remember their incredibly advanced memory, their deep emotional intelligence, and those ancient survival instincts refined over millions of years. We are literally still discovering just how intelligent they truly are today. Which leaves us with one final, pretty exciting question to chew on. If we completely underestimated the simple sheep for this long, what other amazing secrets of nature are hiding right in plain sight?